Why, hello there, I'm Professor Joel, and welcome to another episode of Planet Scooby Reviews. Today we are covering Jeepers, It's the Jaguaro, and this is episode 8 of season 3 of Scooby Doo Where Are You? Or Scooby Doo Show, depending on how you want to think about it. And this episode originally aired on October 28th, 1978. In this episode, we see the gang on an island near Brazil. They're on their way to the Rio Carnival. They're in a private charter flight, not a commercial flight, which is kind of weird. Someone must have some money because charter flights, private charter flights for some teenagers is going to cost some coin. Anyway, they are in this private flight and there's only them and the pilot and the co-pilot, and they have to make an emergency landing on an island near Brazil. They don't know why. They think the plane has run out of gas. When they get on the island, they encounter some headhunters, and these headhunters worship the Jaguaro, who they also encounter. The Jaguaro is this giant beast with the body of an ape, like a big ape, and the head of a Sabertooth Tiger. You would kind of think by the name Jaguaro, it would have the head of a jaguar, but no, Sabertooth Tiger. I reviewed this episode earlier on, but I did it back when I didn't exactly know what I was doing. The episode's kind of really slow. It moves along at a slow pace for me, the episode that I did. Not the actual Scooby-Doo episode. And it also had like 30 copyright strikes, so a lot of people couldn't watch this on their cell phone or in different countries. So I decided to redo it. I don't have much in the way of trivia here, other than there's no Mr. Machine in this episode, and the Jaguaro was later seen in Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase movie. Anyway, enough of my jibber jabber. Let's get to the review. The episode begins on an island in South America. Two tribesmen bow to a giant statue of an ape with the head of a saber-toothed tiger. A high priestess comes out of the bush with a steaming bowl of magic, and the giant statue comes to life and screams. The two tribesmen and the high priestess run off in fear. Over the jungles of Brazil, the gang are in an airplane and are excited to land shortly in Rio de Janeiro. They aren't in a commercial airline, but a private charter, which means someone in the gang has deep pockets. Maybe that Confederate money Scooby inherited in A Night of Fright of No Delight isn't so useless after all. There's a funny scene where Scooby is super excited to go to the carnival and he starts dancing, and up in the pilot's cabin, the pilots think they've run into some rough air, so the co-pilot checks on the gang and he tells Scooby, who's dressed up as a girl, to settle down with his dancing.
Feels like we've run into some rough air.
Can you hold down the dancing, senorita?
Luis, the gas tanks.
We'll have to make an emergency landing, Captain.
Yes, but where? It's all jungle down there.
Look, there's a clearing.
We'll try it. Warn the passengers.
The plane has also run out of gasoline, or there's some engine trouble, so the plane has to make an emergency landing on the jungle island where they have found a clearing.
Everyone, take your seats. We have to make an emergency landing.
Game over, man. It's game over.
Quick, everyone. Grab a pillow and hold it in front of your face.
Adult Flight 81 bound for Rio, making emergency landing in jungle.
Wow, we made it.
Landing safely, Scooby and Shaggy kiss the ground as they hear drums in the distance. The pilots are concerned as they are in Jaguaro country, and they explain to the gang what the Jaguaro is, which doesn't make Scooby or Shaggy any more braver. The pilots also explain that there are headhunters in the jungle, and that also makes Shaggy a little more nervous.
And listen to those drums.
This is Jaguaro country.
It's a legendary beast with the body of a great ape and the head of a saber-toothed tiger.
The natives all worship the Jaguaro.
Like, I sure hope they aren't cannibals.
Oh, no. They aren't cannibals. They are headhunters.
The pilots feel the problem is a clogged fuel line, and they get started in repairing the airplane. Freddy has a map and decides the gang should split up and look for a boat to get them out of there. Freddy and the girls head off to a nearby village, and Scooby and Shaggy head off to the river to find a boat. At the river, Scooby and Shaggy immediately run into the Jaguaro, which screams at them. A chase occurs, and the gang run into all sorts of dangerous creatures such as piranha, anaconda, and alligators. Back in the jungle with Freddy and the girls, the trio watch natives dance in the jungle. A boat drives by and they talk with a filmmaker named Barney who is making a film on the Jaguaro worshipping natives. Barney explains that the natives are working their way up to a hunt and they're hunting the gang down because they saw a bird in the sky land on the island, which angered the Jaguaro. Barney tells the gang to head back to the plane and get the heck out of there.
Ahoy there!
Hello, mates. What are you doing in this blooming jungle?
Our plane just made an emergency landing.
Barney's the name. I'm making a film on the Jaguaro worshippers over there on their sacred island. Now, they say a great bird dropped from the sky and angered their Jaguaro, and their Jaguaro idol came to life. If I was in your shoes, I'd head back to the plane before the Jaguaro and those natives come after you. I'll try to radio for help.
Daphne asks if Barney could just boat them away, but he explains his old tub can't handle the rapids to get them into town. Instead, he'll have to get near civilization and radio for help. The gang reunite at the airplane and find it has been torn apart and is covered in claw marks.
Jeepers! What happened?
Hey, what happened?
The plane's been attacked by a giant animal. Look at those claw marks.
And the pilots, they've disappeared.
Game over, man. It's game over.
Even the pilots are missing. Velma finds a torn scrap of the pilot's uniform on the ground, and there are marks on the ground that suggest the pilots were dragged off.
Jinkies, look at this. The Jaguaro must have attacked the pilots.
And look at those tracks. The Jaguaro must have dragged something or somebody off into the jungle.
Shaggy and Scooby stay back to guard the plane while Freddy, Daphne, and Velma follow the drag marks. While looking for food around the airplane, Scooby and Shaggy are soon captured by the natives. Freddy, Daphne, and Velma discover an old hut, and inside, Freddy discovers some gold mining equipment. They also spot Barney in his boat, who has co-pilot Louise with him.
Come with me if you want to live.
He explains that the pilot, Jose, was captured by the Jaguaro. The gang hop in the boat, and Barney takes the gang back to their plane and tells them to get away fast.
Luis, where is Jose?
We had just fixed the plane, and this terrible beast, the Jaguaro, came after us. I managed to escape, but Jose was not so fortunate.
He says he'll radio the authorities after he drops them off so they can find Jose.
I'll take you back upriver to your plane. With the natives riled up like they are, you'd better take off fast. I'll radio the authorities for help, mates, but that's all we can do.
In the boat, Velma finds a scratched up piece of glass, which she thinks is a little bit suspicious. Before hopping off the boat, Barney hands Louise a canister of film and asks him to drop it off in Rio at his film lab.
Daphne, look at this. It's just a piece of scratched glass. Exactly. But what's it for? And why would anyone wrap up an ordinary hunk of glass so carefully?
I'll head into shore now. Your plane is just beyond the trees.
Thank you, senor.
Could you do me a favor since you're flying to Rio?
Anything, senor.
Could you take this film to my laboratory there?
But of course.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon?
But of course.
At the airplane, Freddy and the girls discover that Shaggy and Scooby are missing. A native warning hangs from the airplane door, which suggests that they were dragged away by the natives. The pilot wants to take off immediately, but the gang head to the native village to find Scooby and Shaggy.
Look, a native fetish.
It's a warning. The natives must have gotten poor Shaggy and Scooby.
We must take off right away. Not a chance. We're not going until we find Shaggy and Scooby. Come back! I can only wait an hour. If you're not back, I must take off without you.
In the village, Scooby and Shaggy sit in a tent surrounded by human skulls while the natives dance outside. Scooby uses his tail to free themselves from the rope that binds them, and they disguise themselves as natives so they can escape. The natives catch on quickly as they spot Scooby's tail, so they run towards the bridge to try and escape. Freddy, Daphne, and Velma sneak into a cave, and they find a smaller statue of the Jaguaro. They also hear the Jaguaro screaming. They look outside to investigate, and there Freddy and the girls see Scooby and Shaggy on the bridge, which has the Jaguaro on one end, and the natives on the other. The Jaguaro shakes the bridge, causing it to fall, and the natives do the same thing from their side, so Scooby and Shaggy are stuck in the middle where there's a centerpiece platform. The Jaguaro enters the water and shakes the platform that Scooby and Shaggy are on, so Freddy and the girls open up the dam above, and it causes this giant wave of water to whisk the Jaguaro, the platform, and Scooby and Shaggy downstream and over a waterfall. The platform manages to capture the Jaguaro between some rocks and the platform, and he is trapped, so they rip off the Jaguaro mask, and it is revealed to be Barney.
Now let's see who the Jaguaro really is.
Like, what do you know? It's Barney!
I love you, you love me, we're a happy family.
Shaggy's the one to yell out that it's Barney, which is a bit odd as the two never meet in this episode, but whatever.
What have you done to Jose?
He's all right. You'll find him tied up below decks on my boat.
Back at the airplane, Jose, who is the kidnapped pilot, thanks the gang for freeing him. There, Velma explains his co-pilot Louise and Barney were involved in a diamond mine scheme. Louise faked the emergency landing so he could pick up the film container that contained the diamonds. Jose was kidnapped as he spotted Barney panning for diamonds at the river, and the cut-up piece of glass Velma found earlier was glass that had been scratched up where they tested the diamonds because diamonds are strong enough to scratch glass. Louise tells them that they are being ridiculous and they have no proof, but Velma snatches the film canister away from him and reveals the diamonds. Louise tries to take off, but Freddy had enough forethought to remove the plain spark plugs.
I still don't understand how you figured my co-pilot Luis was working with Barney.
Luis and Barney were partners in a diamond mining scheme.
Luis faked that emergency landing so he could pick up a new shipment of diamonds without anyone realizing what they were doing.
Barney knew about the Jaguaro legend, so he used it to frighten off the natives.
But we got suspicious when we found the mining equipment and realized that only a diamond could make those deep scratches in the glass we found on Barney's boat.
And Barney grabbed me because I spotted him panning diamonds at the river.
And then he tried to make us think the Jaguaro grabbed you by faking that attack on the plane.
A ridiculous story. And you have no proof.
Oh, yes, we do. See? A fortune in uncut diamonds.
You'll never stop us now!
They're not going anywhere. I took the precaution of removing the spark plugs.
To celebrate, the gang make it to Rio de Janeiro and dance in the Rio Carnival. I give this episode an 8.5 out of 10. I was originally thinking 9. I want to give it a 9, but I have to give it an 8.5. This is a strong episode. The appeal to me is the exotic location with the headhunters and the giant beast, the Jaguaro. The Jaguaro looks really cool, but of course you get some cartoon logic where it shifts in heights. When Scooby first encounters it, he's about the size of the thing's foot, but later on, the Jaguaro is only like twice the size of Scooby and Shaggy, and that statue in the cave isn't any bigger than Freddy or Daphne, really, that they spot. So, I mean, you get some shifts in heights and such. Scooby and Shaggy have a lot of silly gags in this. They encounter some piranha, some anaconda, an alligator, and I wish they made those scenes a little more tense and played it more for chills rather than gags. Those are very dangerous animals, and I think they should kind of be respected and given their due, you know? Otherwise, very cool episode. Love the remote setting of Brazil or the jungles of Brazil or the rainforest or whatever. Freddy, Velma, and Daphne, they get a lot of screen time, and I found the discoveries they made were interesting and creative, and this one kept me guessing the first time I saw it. I didn't really kind of know what was going on. I did suspect Barney was in on it, but yeah, I didn't know for sure. And seeing the airplane all clawed up was also very spooky. I love that. That kind of raises my score of this episode. The Jaguaro looks very cool. Like I said, the scream is different. I appreciate the scream. I don't hate it. I think it's kind of funny, but I don't think it was intended to be funny, but I think it just kind of is funny, and I like it. I don't want it to be anything else. You know, when he first opened his mouth, I thought something else would come out, like a roar, but we get kind of like a monkey scream. And yeah, this isn't a perfect 10 out of me for me, but it's high up there. It's probably maybe in my top 5 for this season. Who knows? We'll find out Anyway, I want to thank everyone for their likes, subscribes, and views. I appreciate it. Every week I go up a little higher in views and subscribes and likes. So thank you very much. It's very, very welcomed. And until next time, when we will be covering Make a Beeline away from that feline, stay spooky.
Quick, everyone, grab a pillow and hold it in front of your face.
Now